Welcome back to Spitballin Cards, every baseball card enthusiast's favorite podcast devoted exclusively to baseball card collecting and investing. We've exceeded the salary cap to bring you the best all-star lineup of baseball card connoisseurs that Bitcoin could buy, and we're not leaving any cards unturned. Like an R.A. Dickey knuckleball, be prepared for unexpected twists and turns. Don't hold our hairlines against us. Here's your host from the popular YouTube channel Scotty B Cards, Scotty B. Scott, what are we spitballing about today?
Thank you, Producer Lance. I appreciate it. We have Producer Lance, we have Jeff, Chris, and Ty on today's episode. Phil cannot be with us, but thank you for joining. This is only our second podcast for Spitballin Cards, so make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, primarily that subscribe button, so you're able to see more of our podcast in the future. We will be posting every single Tuesday, so make sure you stay tuned because you'll be able to see all of our thoughts on baseball cards. But we have a very good episode here for you. And the very first segment we always want to do is, did we pick up anything cool this week? I have something I want to share, but first I will see if anyone else does. Anybody, did you have anything that you picked up that you think is worth sharing?
I've got a little stack of goodies. We're sharing some stuff.
Nice.
Nothing maybe as crazy as some of you guys have, but I have a kind of funny story. I picked up this really cool Topps Mini. It's from 2019 update. Great image. I'm big into images and player pairings. I know I tend to like cards like this, like these divisional foes, more than maybe other people do. I just think it's cool when you have both players featured. So we've got Bryce Harper and Freddie Freeman, the red number /5. I bought this, kind of put in an impulse bid. When I saw it, I was like, that's a great photo. That's really cool. And then I won it. I was like, that's awesome. And it came in the mail and I was like, oh, it's a mini. I did not realize that. So I know obviously not as collectible, but I'm probably going to get it graded. Pretty cool card. That one will look nice in the PSA slab. You know, I'm a big Stadium Club fan, and I picked up this really cool image. You've got Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, playing the saxophone, blowing Gehrig's ears out. It's actually the rainbow foil, hard to pick up in the light here. So it's numbered to 25. Just such a great image. So that's going to go nicely in the Stadium Club PC. Got a really cool John Smoltz, starting a John Smoltz PC. I've adopted the Braves as my NL team, being here in Atlanta. Topps Dynasty. Smoltz, it's kind of hit or miss, feast or famine with some of his cards. And Dynasty doesn't disappoint, in my opinion. And then a couple of slabs, one that Scott will for sure recognize. But starting out, I've got the 97 Bowman's Best Refractor Mirror Image. So on the front, you've got Greg Maddux and Kerry Wood. Man, if we were making a Mount Rushmore of all-time great single performances, Kerry Wood would certainly be on there. And then on the back, you've got Smoltz. So I've had this sitting this direction in my office. No disrespect to Greg Maddux, who's an all-time great, maybe one of top 3 greatest of all time. And then a really cool pairing. So I picked up this X-Fractor from 2003 Topps Chrome from Scott. This is Pop 1 in the PSA 10. Really cool. Seemed like a great way to start the PC. And then to go, and that's numbered to 57. And then to go with it, the 2003 Bowman Chrome X-Fractor, which is not numbered in a PSA 9. So really happy. I've been diving into Smoltz cards quite a bit and have kind of jump-started the PC pretty well, I think.
I want to add one thing on that Smoltz X-Fractor. Ty won't say it because I think he's being humble. That is the best 2003 Topps Chrome John Smoltz card in existence because there's only one PSA 10 of the X-Fractor numbered to 57. There's no other parallels numbered less than that. So that is a true best card from that set of that player ever. So that's a great PC card.
Yeah.
Glad you got it, Ty.
Yeah, it looks awesome. And the first year of X-Fractors, right?
Yeah.
For Topps Chrome. So yeah.
Because I don't think they had Superfractors, I believe, in 2004 as the first year with like the champagne swirl Superfractors. So if anyone watches my YouTube channel, I'll occasionally get comments saying how us investors are ruining sports cards. I did the opposite of investing this last week. I had a 2002 Zach Greinke Bowman Draft Chrome refractor number to 300 PSA 8. That's like his best rookie card of Zach Greinke. And it's worth like $600-ish. I traded that for like 15 Billy Butler cards. And so I know for an absolute fact that card, the Billy Butler cards that I picked up will not ever be worth more than that Greinke. So you can't ever say again that I am only an investor. But I got some cool ones. I actually got a Super Fractor from 2011 Topps Chrome in the trade, and it's only one of 5 Billy Butler Topps Chrome Super Fractors that exist. So I was really excited about that. So now I own 2 of the 5. I just need to find 2008, which will probably be impossible, 2012, 2014, and 2015. So that was my pickup this week. That was pretty cool.
I know a thing or two about players super collecting, and I applaud the transaction. I think it's awesome. Anytime you have a chance to dig your heels in on a player that you really like and kind of carve out your spot, and especially get one of one, I just think it's a no-brainer personally.
And I also added like a Topps Chrome Sapphire from 2016. It is the gold refractor. There's only 5 of them, only refractor from that set and that year. And it was the first year of Topps Chrome Sapphire. Yeah. I pulled else. What else did I get? I also got a 2013 Topps Finest Atomic number to 5. A lot of really cool stuff. So I'm excited for it. When it gets in, I'll show it again on the channel. But Jeff and Chris, I know that you may have gotten something really big this last week. Do you want to share it now or do you want to wait? What are your thoughts?
I think we should wait. But go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I want to show something smaller we picked up, but I wanted to talk about Mike Trout a little bit. So I wanted to show our recent Trout pickup.
Cool.
This is an orange, Topps Chrome orange photo variation of Trout. He looks pretty disgusted on there.
I wonder why.
Nice close-up in the dugout. Yes.
He's definitely watching Anthony Rendon come out of a game.
Right.
After he just broke his shin on another foul ball.
A preseason game. Yeah, we picked up this Trout. I just want to talk a little bit about Trout's market because it's down so much right now. And for a lot of us who came back into the hobby in the last, I don't know, half decade or so, Trout has been one of the best players we've seen and that we've known about or got to see. And I think he had a crazy run of like 8 straight years where he was no lower than second in MVP voting, except one year he was 4th, but that's it. But he's been missing a lot of games lately. So he was on his way to becoming an all-time great, inner circle Hall of Famer. And I don't know. I had to look, and do you know the last time he played more than 140 games?
It was like 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
No, it's further than that.
It's further than that.
Because he probably did 2019. Maybe 2019.
Oh, wow.
He was 24 years old. That's the last time he played more than 140 games. And he's only played 140 games once since then. So he's really missed out on a lot of opportunities to climb up that ladder. His stats are still crazy.
Yep.
He's still on a Hall of Fame pace. He's surpassed many Hall of Famers, but he just has missed that opportunity so far to be an all-time great. And even in 2023, before he got hurt, he was showing a few signs of decline, unfortunately. His OPS plus was 131, which is good in a vacuum, but it's 40 points lower than his career average. So his K percentage was the highest it's been. Just so I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how he ages through his 30s. We've talked a lot about how players get to that age 30 and the decline is pretty precipitous. And I'm hoping for him it's not. What's interesting is that before his health issues, he was the ultimate 5-tool guy. Everything, fielding, hitting for power, running, but he doesn't run a lot anymore. In fact, the last 5 years, he has, I think, a total of 8 stolen bases. I kind of was hoping that he might, with the rule changes, he might be running a little bit more this year. You've got Freddie Freeman over there across town with almost 20 stolen bases. So I thought Trout would run a little more. He's still got the elite sprint speed too, and he's a good base runner. But I guess the risk of getting hurt is just too great. But then he gets hurt swinging a bat. So I don't know. Anyway, this is all to say that his market is way down. It's way lower than it's been since before the big card boom of 19 and 20. So if you are a Trout collector, there are chances to get cool Trout cards like this orange one for much cheaper than you would have maybe 2-3 years ago. So that's just
I have a question for you guys related to that. So his PSA 10 Topps update, base card, that's around pop 6,100. Now that card is now down to the lowest it's been since about mid 2019. The last sale on auction on September 17 was for $931.
Under $1,000.
What
Wow.
do you what are your thoughts around that card in particular, knowing, it's an iconic card, pop 6,000, you can find them easily still for a player like him, and compared to pop counts of a base tops card, compared to others today, that feels pretty low. Is that a card that you would be looking at if somebody was like, I want to get that iconic Trout card now, or would you still be waiting another 6 months, 3 months, a year? It's just, it's so hard for me to wrap my head around that card being under $1,000 when it was up 3, 4, even I think a high sale of like in the 5s or 6s at one point a few years ago.
I'll throw my 2 cents. The thing I'll say about that card is there's 6,000 of them, which I want to point out. Topps update from that particular year was different because Trout does not have a Topps Chrome or a Topps Chrome update. On top of that, Trout's only in like 5 to 6 sets. So there's a reason why that card's so much more than other players, right?
Yeah.
It's very reminiscent of the 1989 Ken Griffey Jr. Upper Deck, in my opinion, in regards to maybe not being as important to the hobby, but being the card. And it's obvious it's the card. But my thing, if I'm going for a Trout rookie, that card's dropping, his entire market's dropping. So I'm much more going for a green refractor from Topps Finest or something even more rare for roughly the same price personally. And the only reason is because I know that card will always be there. Second thought is that his market is going to drop. Ohtani's going to leave. If Trout somehow does not leave the Angels, his cards are going to fall. And they might start rising in the spring like they do every year. But generally before Christmas, the baseball card market is dead. So I think there's a great chance it goes further down personally. Just my thoughts. I'd rather get something more rare.
It's interesting. His PSA 8 Cognac Diamond Anniversary sold for around the same price a few weeks ago at the end of August. So even just to look at a card like that and say, would you rather have the base card or a lower grade of the...
I would much rather have the Cognac. And one thing I want to point out again, not to like completely defend this Trout card, but there's only about 60,000 of them. Compared that to roughly 1 million of Series 1 this year. So it's not like that card is really common. It's actually a pretty rare card. I just want to point that out. 6,100 is a high pop. The reason it's such a high pop is because everyone wants that card graded, and that's why they're grading it. So,
Yeah, I was going to say pretty much everything that you just said. Yeah, it definitely, I think it has further to fall as well. I've never owned that card. I've actually never tried to own that card. It just always seemed like it's a base card and it was beyond what I could afford anyway. So now that it's under $1,000, it does become kind of interesting. But I would definitely wait. Like I think, like Scotty said, this has further to fall for sure. And I would absolutely prefer a numbered Finest parallel. That set, as we know, is absolutely gorgeous. Jeff and I have actually been watching some of the autos that have come up because he only has one on-card auto or one on-card rookie auto.
Yep. Which
which makes that, pretty special. But yeah, I would still not be, I don't think that Topps update rookie is a buy yet.
His Bowman Draft Chrome Refractor, which is pop 295, just sold on September 16 for 1,100.
wait, PSA 10?
PSA 10.
Nice.
Ooh.
So I actually 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, I almost bought a purple refractor. It was a PSA 9 for $2,000. And I remember I lost and I was really sad, but I bet you that card's worth like $800 now or less. So I'm really happy someone outbid me and sniped me. Thank you so much, person, for overpaying. So I didn't have to.
You can now get yourself a nice Christmas present at a cheap cost.
Well, I did spend that money on other stuff. So still broke. So. All right.
I have a follow-up question again on Jeff's Trout card for Scotty and Tyler. If you were going to buy a Trout orange refractor out of Topps Chrome, would you be more inclined to get the base image, or would you be more interested in the image variation?
I have my thoughts. Do you want me to go first time?
Yeah, sure.
I personally would take the base image. Personally. And the reason for that is because if people want to do like a consistent run of orange refractors, that base image is recycled in all of the 50,000 different variants of flagship we have now with Topps Chrome, Topps UK, Topps Japan, Topps Series 1, Topps Chrome Sapphire. So for that purpose, for the consistency's sake, it might make it easier to sell in the future. I also think it's kind of weird that we are having parallels of short prints. Like, why? Just make the short print rare, and that would make the short print cool to me. But maybe I'm off base. I will understand. Out of everybody in this room, I usually care the least about the image. You guys are all very image conscious of the card. Like that's important. And I get that. I'm more of like the history of the card. And so maybe for that purpose, I totally get the argument of the image variation.
This feels very much like a left brain, right brain thing. Even though I have a penchant for analysis, I like drama and emotion and things like that. So the image matters to me. That's the deciding factor for me. Whichever image I like better, that's what I'm going to go for. That's my approach too with the Stadium Club cards that I pick up. Sometimes, I do go after a lot of the image variations, even just the little ones like the Vados and other things. I pick those up because that's something I'd like to get a run on. But I also have found in the past that sort of like completionist mindset that I think we've all had. You can kind of become a prisoner to a little bit and buy a card that you don't actually like very much because it's part of a run. So I've kind of gotten away from that and just gravitated more toward really making sure that the card that I'm buying is something that I like the look of, that I like the photo on, that I like the aesthetic of, and it has to kind of tick all those boxes. Otherwise, I typically don't pull the trigger on it. So completely get where you're coming from, Scott, but you're wrong.
That's fair. That's fair. I will say, talking about buying a card you don't really want. Recently, I like to do this thing. I have a couple different group chats. This is one of them, right, with you guys. But I have a couple group chats.
Wait, you have other group chats?
I have a Mookie Betts group chat, and that's why I don't talk about Mookie too much in the other group chats, so that way I don't have to kill two different groups. But I bought a card, and I wanted to know your honest thoughts. So I sent you the card and said, what do you think of this card? Everyone hated it, but I liked it. I'm not going to say which card it is because I'm not in the mood.
I know which card it was. I was the only one that I liked it.
Mm-hmm. You're the only one I told what it was. But I probably should just share. It was a.
Yeah, I feel like we have to know what the card is now.
Yeah, what's the card?
Yeah. I just am like fishing for compliments here. But it was like 2019 Diamond Icons Mookie Betts with like the diamonds inside the card. So it was numbered to 5, has diamonds in it. It's Mookie Betts. This is like only diamond. It's first Diamond Icons base card. And it was like $100, $150. And everybody said they hated it. But I was like, you know what? It's pretty cool. Not often do I get Mookie Betts cards with jewelry inside of them. So,
hey, collect what you like.
Yeah, right. I agree. So next up, we have new releases of note. And this new release, we had Bowman Chrome last time. Super crazy product. We've seen a lot of the big cards already pulled, which is great. But the newest one is 2023 Topps Update. 2023 Topps Update. I'm going to give you a quick recap of what's going on here. I actually did a video just barely on my own YouTube channel. The rookie class is weak, but that's okay. Like I want to like highlight that more in this conversation. I think it's okay it's weak because not every single rookie class can be amazing, but it's not a very good rookie class. It's very pitcher heavy. The odds of it being a long-term collectible set is low. Not saying it's zero, it's just low. You have Yuri Perez, the pitcher for the Marlins, 20 years old. He's pitched great in the minor leagues and the big leagues, so he has a lot of potential, which is good. We have a Arizona Diamondbacks version of Gabriel Moreno. He was in his Blue Jays uniform before, which is why this is update. They changed his uniform. Grayson Rodriguez, Zach Neto, Bobby Miller for the Dodgers, Matt McClain, and a few others that are okay as well. But overall, it's a pretty weak checklist, and it is interesting because there are rookie debuts of all the good players, right? We have Corbin Carroll. We have everybody else that was a rookie this year with rookie debut, even Gunnar Henderson, Rutschman. You get the idea. So what are your thoughts on this set? Is this a set you're going to be buying packs of? Is there a specific price point in mind that you want this set to be before you buy anything? What are your thoughts? Ty, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I might be in the minority, but I generally like when sets like this come out that don't have all the bells and whistles of like a deep rookie checklist. And the main reason is I don't rip a lot of sealed product, but when I do, I like it to be affordable, and this keeps the price down. So you can chase other things. Sometimes you mentioned the rookie debuts. Sometimes the images we just talked about are better. We know Phil just bought that rookie debut Ohtani black, right? Also, you have other players that make the checklist that are, maybe more niche collector, players like Sean Murphy for the Braves. He's on the checklist.
Patrick Bailey for the Giants.
It's just fun. Like I like the idea of, having those guys. Sometimes you get the people with like the post trade deadline team swaps on their jerseys. So you get that on there. And then I think something else that's cool. I mean, obviously there are a lot of autos. There's different autos, there's Trout autos, there's other things. Obviously the odds are long to hit those, but sometimes because it's a product that is not going to be as high demand, the print runs or the pack odds of hitting those things are maybe a little more realistic, a little more attainable, 1 in 25,000 instead of 40,000. There's something cool that I really applaud Topps for doing. And I know Fanatics has caught a lot of flack for things like the Taco Fractor and other things we've been kind of critical of, but they went out and took one of the card artists from the hobby community, Luke the Cardist, and he has a very short checklist with a very difficult pack odds set of cards on that checklist. So they literally went and took a custom card guy from the card community, tapped him and worked out an agreement and said, we want to get some of your work featured in this product, which personally I think is really cool. I'm a big proponent of some of the people who are doing custom card art. I think it's cool. Obviously it's very niche. But I think that's a really neat addition to it, just something to stick into the product. And, obviously they've done things in the past with the, Project 2020 and other subsequent art projects like that. So I'm a fan of that. And I prefer it being stuck into a short checklist within like a flagship product more than I do as like a Topps Now type release on their website.
And those are one of ones, right?
I don't know if they're one of ones. Let me go back and pull it up.
I believe they are. If I'm wrong, because I thought they were in the previous set.
I thought it just said, what they must be based. Yeah, they must be based on the odds. 1 in 385,000 packs. So
I think they were one of ones before. Yeah. It is interesting because one issue is eBay. They also do have like custom art cards all the time. So how do you not make it feel that way? Like, is it encapsulated? Is it Topps stamped? Like, how do you make it feel like a one-of-one? But I do think Topps is doing fun stuff like that. I do agree with you. And I do want to note one thing, and then I'll pass it to Jeff. I want to hear his thoughts on this. But I kind of like this set because you're going to have silver packs in there. Those silver packs are going to have Corbin Carroll rookies in them. They're going to have all the other top rookies in them. There's also probably going to be update short prints of all the rookies again. Plus, you're going to have autographs of all those rookies. So it's actually a really cheaper way to have a chance of pulling something really big. And like the reverence patches, I don't know if they'll have those rookies in there, but there are reverence patches that are like out of 10 and they're really gorgeous cards. But I do think having a lower price point is fun. Do you guys remember 2020 Topps update? Right? Terrible set, horrible set. They did a lot of really fun stuff with that. And that was a fun product to open. And I think this set could be similar price point to that, but with a better rookie checklist. The rookie checklist is still okay. It's just not mind blowing. Jeff, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, you're talking about a lower price point. Do we know what the price point is going to be for these?
Oh, no, I'm talking like aftermarket. And I'm sure it's the same at release. I'm assuming that this is not going to sell super well for retailers and card shops. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. That's my guess.
So you're kind of hoping that it's going to come under, eventually be under the release price.
I would not be surprised if that was the case. Because we saw a 2020 update get to like $50-$60 a box, right? So I'm hoping that's similar to these.
Yeah, I would love to see it get down to $60-$65. I'd be probably scooping it and ripping quite a bit of it at that price.
Totally.
Yeah, if it gets down to that, I would be interested. I know one thing about the checklist is that it's pitcher heavy, and I guess that's just because there's a lot of pitcher call-ups right now, and that also is kind of a negative with the hobby as far as collecting goes. Although there's a couple big names in there like Grayson Rodriguez. I'd be excited to see him in there.
He's been pitching really well too recently.
Yes, he had a great game this week.
Few months,
yeah, and he's still young, and that whole Orioles team is pretty exciting. They're going to be fun to watch grow over the next couple of years.
Awesome.
But I know Chris had some visceral reactions to this checklist, so I want to hear what he says.
I have visceral reactions to almost everything that happens, but I'm going to ask you guys a question, and then I'll talk about the set, and I'll give you guys time to come up with your answers, okay? I was going through this checklist. What card, if you've all looked at it, what card do you think is most likely to end up the bullseye on dartboards of the main base card checklist? If you breeze through it, one card jumped out at me as one that's going to make a big segment of the hobby very angry.
Oh, I didn't look at it that closely.
Something with Wander Franco and
was it a Wander Franco Julio Reyes
young talent
card?
All right, so while you're thinking about that, I was reading about this, and the intro on Beckett said updates. They usually go with a lot of all-star themed cards. So I was excited because, like in 2013 and 2016, they had SSPs in update with multiple players on the same card. kind of celebrating the All-Star game. I was really excited for that. But unfortunately, it looks like the All-Stars are technically an insert set. So they're not going to have Golden Mirror SSPs, which is a real bummer. So that was
just that last year too. Now that you say that, they did that last year.
Yeah. But some of these rookies, like there is, I think someone mentioned this before, like Corbin Carroll will have another like SSP, and all the rookie debut guys going to have another, like a second SSP. And then all these pitcher rookies are actually going to have 2, which is kind of interesting. But there's 4 cards in particular that I'm really interested in seeing. And Teapot, I think you're going to be kind of on board with me on this. 3 of them are a little team dependent, and 1 I think is sneaky the best card you could get in the whole box. But the first one is the Machado Tatis like teammate card. I want to see what the SSP of that looks like, because that would be the first SSP I'm aware of that has those 2 guys on it, and they're going to both be there for the next decade. So I feel like if you're a Padres fan, that's a card you want. And hopefully they picked a cool image and they didn't just take the regular base card and use a frame from like 2 seconds later. Hopefully it's something fresh and cool.
Who
There's
is
the same
it?
thing with
Machado and Tatis?
Yeah, Machado and Tatis. There's also the same thing. Goldschmidt and Arenado have the same thing. So if you're a Cardinal fan, like that Golden Mirror SSP, hopefully it's a really cool shot, but I feel like Cardinal fans should be all over that. And if it looks good, if it's a cool image, I mean, that's 2 potential Hall of Famers on 1 SSP. That's a really cool idea. I like it. The Braves have Acuna and Arcia have a card. So I'm obviously very excited to see what that SSP looks like. I'm afraid they're going to steal the image from Stadium Club of Michael Harris and Acuna and Arcia celebrating a game end. I'm afraid they're going to use that image, but if they do, look at me. I'm going to buy the card. There's no stopping that. I just hope it's a decent shot. All right, but sneakily, the card I'm most excited to see. There's another combo card. I don't know how closely you guys looked at this, but there's a Trout Julio Rodriguez combo card. And the Golden Mirror SSP of that card, if they did it right, if that's a really cool shot of the 2 of them, maybe in game, I don't know how that would work because they both play the outfield, but I really cannot wait to see what that card looks like.
Could that be an All-Star game photo?
That's what I was wondering. All-Star game.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be awesome.
Guess.
But that's the card of this whole set I'm most excited to see.
Cool. It's interesting they put Arcia with Acuna. Of all the Braves, they picked Arcia. Is that not kind of random?
It's extremely random. It's what makes me think it's some kind of, because they kind of meet in Shallow Center and do like a post-game celebration. Oh. But I mean, Albies is usually there, and Harris is there, and Blooper is somewhere running around like a lunatic. So I don't know how they cropped it, or maybe the SSP has all of them, but I will be anxiously awaiting my first look at that card.
So I think we're on agreement. Topps update might actually be a pretty cool product, just because there might be a lot of bang for your buck, really fun product to open. Nowadays in baseball cards, it's extremely difficult to have a product that's fun to open. That's not going to make you lose all your money. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm cautiously optimistic, even though the checklist is weak. But one thing I want to talk about. Oh, Jeff, you have something.
Yeah, I wanted to know the answer to our the question Chris posed.
Do we have any guesses?
Oh, yeah, Chris.
It's particularly going to be on the bullseye for a lot of East Coast sports bars, I think.
Did they put Scotty B on a card this year?
That's an excellent guess. No, it is Carlos Rodon's first Yankee card.
Oh boy!
I mean, that is going to be crumpled up in anger and thrown against walls. If we're hunting rare pop ones, that might be a good card to get in a PSA 10 slab, because most of those are going to get ripped up and destroyed.
There aren't any notable Jose Abreu Astros cards. I know my marketing guy, who's a big Astros fan, has been pretty salty about the Abreu signing and lack of production.
Hey, that Abreu signing makes the Rodon signing like an A+. Because at least it's shorter. That Rodon signing could really kill them. Between him and Stanton, they don't have much money to spend.
Yeah, Scotty, you said that backwards. The Rodon signing makes the Abreu signing look like an A+.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yes. I don't know what I said, but that is what I said in my mind.
Okay.
Words came out, can't be sure what they were.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Wait, so Abreu doesn't have an Astros card in any of these, in any Topps product yet?
There's like one on this list that it's not part of the base checklist. It's like an MLB first stitch patch autographs. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he had one in series 2 or not. I guess I didn't memorized that checklist yet.
I mean, there's no reason to look for it. So
How do you not know every single checklist and what players on them? And you consider yourself a part of the hobby?
I'm
Tyler?
just slipping.
Are you even?
He does. He was in series 2.
Cool.
He was in series 2.
There you
so
go.
there you go.
Also,
#collect.
I'm going to backtrack before I go forward. I want to point out a few fun things. What do you guys think Mike Trout's sprint speed percentile ranking is this year? Age 31 Mike Trout.
Mid-90s.
No.
Okay. Give me a number.
I was going to
Give me a
say
number.
10.
95.
86.
96th percentile.
Come
Thank
on.
you.
He doesn't run. He doesn't run for injury purposes, and he still breaks his hand. So that's great.
It's ridiculous with his baseball base running acumen and his sprint speed and the new rule changes. He should easily have had 30 stolen bases by the time he was hurt.
If Mike
That's
Trout
absurd.
wasn't made of glass, he could easily have 50 bags a year. Like legitimately, easily have 50 bags a year.
Did he
Because
have
he's
any this
31
year?
that fast. What's that?
Did he have any steals this year? Or
No, I don't think he had one last year either. I don't think he's even
The last 4 years, he's at a total of 6.
Oh, he
Wow.
did have 2 this year. He had 2 this year. Forgive me, Angels fans. He did have 2.
all right, for comparison's sake, my boy Rafael Devers tonight stole his 4th base of the season.
He's double the base runner Mike Trout will ever be.
And
Yeah, I
Freddie
mean,
33-year-old Freddie Freeman has 18 last I looked.
So he's 9 times the base runner Trout will ever be. All
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
That's the
And
one
that's
backtrack.
speed, it's absurd.
Another
All right, wait.
backtrack I want to have on Mike Trout is he does average 9.3 WAR for every 162 games played. It's just he's not playing games. So that's another thing I wanted to say.
So then a follow-up question to that is, if you guys could each name, and we got to get Lance in on this, if you could each pick one player, active player right now, who's been notoriously struggling with injuries, to just say, you're going to be healthy the next 2 years and play all season, who would each of you guys choose?
Lance, producer Lance, who are you picking?
As a Rockies fan, the only player that makes sense is Chris.
Speaking of bad signings,
Hmm.
Oh, Chris Bryant.
You guys didn't even know who we're talking about.
Chris
That's
Bryant.
how bad his contract is.
That's,
I forgot he was still in the league. I just
Yep. that's the only one that makes sense for the Rockies
Well, I'm
because
glad you're on a first name basis with him, Lance.
Yeah, you guys are buddies. That's cool.
we spent so much money to throw players away. Like it's ridiculous. And that's the only one that makes sense. Like if he could actually play well, he could be healthy and people might go out to watch him. That's about it.
Does anybody want to guess what Chris Bryant's career WAR has been with the Rockies so far? Last 2 years.
Ooh.
Oh, it's negative. Isn't it
I
negative?
was going to say negative.
I'll say
It can't be very
0.
high, though,
I'll say
because he barely
0.3.
I would say like
0.3.
minus 0.2.
Well, one thing I'll say, it's hard to have too high or too low here because he doesn't play very much.
Yeah.
It's 0.1.
Ooh, I was close.
So you can't say it can't get worse because it
So
can.
he's no Dante Bichette with his negative WAR in Colorado, putting up a huge season.
So far, he has negative
Javier Baez.
1.2 D WAR in only 72 games. So maybe he is on Dante Bichette's level, actually.
Oh boy. Ay, ay, ay.
So
To
bad.
answer your question, T-Pop, besides Trout, who, as I mentioned, hasn't played a full season in a long time, I've had this discussion this week with a couple people about Yordan Alvarez.
Yeah.
He's
Oh, yeah.
young. He's an absolute hitting monster. I'm not sure what his 162 game splits are, but they've got to be pretty crazy. If I knew he was going to be healthy for 2 years, I feel like he could put up 55 to 60 home runs a year.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he's a monster.
Yeah.
He's just a great hitter. He's got a great eye, especially
Yeah.
for being young. It's just a shame that he's so fragile already.
All right, so Chris, who do you got?
I mean, it depends what we. I don't. I mean, do we consider if we want to call Acuna injury prone, then I would say Acuna. But it was really one big injury, so I don't really know if that necessarily qualifies.
You can
I mean-
say Acuna. It just guarantees 2 years of Acuna.
That's true.
Well, yeah.
That's
I mean, I
true.
would cut off one of my fingers to guarantee 2 full healthy years of Acuna. I mean, I don't use my pinkies; they don't matter.
The funny thing is you say that, but it sounds like a joke. I think you're serious. You
I am
would-
100% serious.
like I think you
With the
would do
tone
that.
of my voice, I am not joking.
Well, with all the Acuñas you could buy in advance of that, and then you could just get a new pinky. A really cool prosthetic.
Maybe
Oh,
that
yeah.
would finally affect Acuna's card market.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're gonna
seriously.
talk about
'Cause-
that later.
Yeah, because one big season's not really doing it.
Yeah.
If I had to pick,
Who'd you
I had
say?
one. I had one in mind. Oh, probably Bryce Harper. He hasn't played in his regular position for 2 years, and he's kind of not been healthy the whole time.
Yeah.
And Bryce Harper, I always have like this weird internal thing against Bryce Harper because I think Mookie Betts is the better right fielder the last 10 years. And so I irrationally compare them, even though it doesn't matter at all. But baseball is so much better when Bryce Harper's healthy and good. And so for that purpose, I would pick Bryce Harper. And I really like Bryce Harper. He actually grew up in my wife's neighborhood. And he was my brother-in-law's scout leader for a couple of years. So
Nice.
for that purpose, I like Bryce Harper a lot. And he's had a few years now where he just hasn't been fully 100% with the the Tommy John UCL is the ligament I was looking for, injury. So he's the one I'd pick.
So
He is terrifying, Bryce Harper. Absolutely terrifying in the batter's box. He homered tonight off Kyle Wright on a curveball that was down and out of the strike zone. And
It's
he,
like
just,
Acuna.
he hit it out to left field.
yeah.
If he's
When he's
healthy,
going opposite field, he's on.
All right, so I'll give you my little punch list. I mean, if I were going in the same class, maybe as Acuna or a recent injury that just completely depressed all of us, it's Ohtani.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
But pitching and hitting, just keep him healthy out there, locked in.
Yeah.
Obviously, both Judge and Stanton come to mind as guys who just keep missing time. Stanton just
Judge is
hasn't
a
ever
good
been able to stay healthy. It's like guy hits. What did he hit? How many home runs that season?
59?
59.
59.
59. I mean, so, just to think about that power, I'm not a Yankees fan. I'm also not a Yankees hater per se. Just to see he and Judge, if they were both dialed in, hitting back to back. Byron Buxton is obviously a guy who is just unbelievably good. He just never plays. But if I'm picking one player, well, I'll throw one other one that just was forced into retirement was Strasburg.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a really sad, heartbreaking one. But if I'm picking one guy who I want to stay healthy for 2 years, it's Jacob deGrom.
Oh, that's a good one, too.
He's just otherworldly, nasty. I mentioned Kerry Wood earlier. I just think about a guy who is completely untouchable, who could have a sub 1.6 ERA in a full season if he was locked in like he was a few years ago. And it would be awesome to see him pitch, full season, even one full season. It would be awesome. So
My dad, he always bashes wins above replacement because of Jacob deGrom. It's his only example he has against WAR is how can a player with less wins than his WAR win the Cy Young? And it's like, Dad, that's not true, first of all. So we have this conversation every time we talk, literally every time we talk about WAR. But Jacob deGrom, people don't understand how good his peak has been or was. It's over. It's over. But he has, I believe, the fifth highest ERA plus all time. And if you exclude the Negro leagues, it's probably the third highest behind Kershaw, Pedro Martinez, and then Jacob deGrom for starting pitcher. The highest ever is Mariano Rivera, but for starting pitchers, it's those three in that order. And he's really good. And so it really is unfortunate we did not see Jacob deGrom this year on the Rangers because they would have given him tons of run support and it would have been beautiful. But
back in 2021, yeah. I mean, he had 15 starts. He went 7-2 with a 1.08 ERA. He had a 3.73 ERA plus in that.
What was his WAR that year in 15 starts?
Let's see. That was
4 or 5, wasn't it?
21. Hold on. I'm not funny. Yeah, 4.5.
So he has a 10 WAR season.
Just nasty.
So the next thing I want to bring up was going to be, I only told you guys part of it, but I want to talk about Ronald Acuña Jr. And as the first thing, I want to talk about him and his card prices. And then I want to talk about Ohtani and his card prices because they're both going to win the MVPs this year, in my opinion. And I want to discuss that. Ronald Acuña Jr., the sports card market is down, especially modern. We can put in ultra modern if you want to go even further, which I believe is 2017 to now is when it was categorized. It could be 2018. I don't know. But regardless, his cards are relatively flat. They aren't up all that much. They are year over year up, but they're not what people would expect. I have my theory as to why that is, and I want to share that a little bit. And I think that theory is he has so many cards, especially rookie cards. Do you think his cards are priced appropriately, or too low, too high? Where do you think they are? Jeff, what are your thoughts?
Well, your theory is that he has so many cards, and that's what's keeping them down. My theory is that everybody wants to see him stay healthy for 2 full seasons before they really invest in him long term. He plays with such ferocity and reckless abandon that he might have a tendency to get hurt, or at least that's what it seemed like, even though it was kind of a fluke injury, the one that kept him out. But I think people want to see him. This year's performance is outstanding. And if he puts up another one like this, that's when I think you see his cards really move. And yeah, he has a lot of cards, but the cards that people are going to go after are still the top cards, the top parallels, the SSPs. So I don't think it's just the volume of rookie cards that's keeping it down. I just think people are a little hesitant to buy fully into him.
Okay, very fair. Let's talk to a Braves fan. We kind of have 2 Braves fans here. Kind of Tyler's a Braves fan. Let's talk to like a hardcore, wears his Braves jersey every time we meet. What are your thoughts on that, Chris?
You say his, like I own other clothes, Scott. This is all that I wear, like 24/7. Jeff and I have talked about this, and we're pretty much in agreement. Like the season that he's having right now is kind of like when you bought his first Bowman Chromes, after they came out in 2017, you were probably thinking, man, I bet this guy has the potential to go like 30-70 at some point and score 150 runs. Like, and he's doing it. But I do think the injury just scares a lot of people. And I think if he does it twice, I mean, Ohtani's stuff boomed a little bit in 2021. And then they bumped again in 2022, but it was this year. It was the 3rd year where his market went absolutely nuclear. So it's possible that Acuna is going to have to do this for, another year and a half before people really start to believe this is who he is. Okay. I also think a big postseason will help. Because they did win the World Series with him not playing.
If you go to his baseball reference page, he doesn't have the World Series next to his name, actually, because it wasn't even on the roster.
Really? Well,
so
yeah, he didn't play, yeah.
They claim he did not win the World Series. Take that up with baseball reference, though, not me.
Hey, that's all right. I have a card that shows he has a ring, so I'm good with it. I'm okay
So does the janitor of the Braves. Anyways, Tyler.
Hey.
I'm just kidding, guys. If there's Braves fans who are mad, I'm just joking. Tyler, you're up.
I would also clean the clubhouse toilets to have gotten one of those rings without hesitation, pinky or no pinky. I'd be in there cleaning those things.
I agree that people definitely want to see him healthy. That's honestly been part of my reluctance to buy some of his cards. I think a lot of people got super burned by going in on his cards and then having him not play. And that stings. You have capital tied up. Maybe you still believe in the guy long term. But for those people who are playing the short to midterm, flip game, and not exclusively, not like all the cards they would buy of Acuna, a lot of us, maybe some of us here, I know I do this, you'll buy multiple cards of a player. And then when they spike, you can sell off a portion of them. And then you've basically kept the other one for free, right? And that's your PC card. That's the card you can hold long term. That's really hard when a player gets injured for a long time and gets injured again, and you just have that capital tied up in this big dilemma. Like, do I sell the card now? Do I take a loss? Do I buy more now? Do I double down? What are you doing? What's really interesting to me is that we've got 794 cards with sales and market movers of Acuna over the last 180 days, and he's up 18% on those collectively. Obviously, there's bigger swings than that on specific cards. Some cards are, flat or down. It just depends. And that's all cards. That's prospect cards. That's other cards that are non-rookie cards. If I look at only his rookie cards, it's actually a very similar number.
Can you take out the PSA 10 high pop cards as well?
I can just look at like PSA 10 cards, and those are up 22%. So I don't have a way to I could actually do a price range. So
yeah, a price range of $1,000 up, because if you even $500 up, because those PSA 10 updates, they probably aren't up nearly as much because there's 50 billion of them as the other stuff.
Let's see here.
All right, while he's looking, I'll give you a second here. There have been some crazy, what Jeff and I would consider low Acuna sales of late, which really shocked us. His vertical SSP with like that cream jersey and the brick wall behind him out of
He's
update.
walking into the dugout. Is that what you're talking about?
No, the vertical one where he's at.
Oh, the
bat.
vertical. Oh,
Like,
okay. Yeah.
One of his most beautiful, beloved cards, a BGS 9.5 Pure Gem, just sold for like $3,000 on eBay, which seems like almost like a new low for that card. And some lunatic sold his Sapphire PSA 10 for $2,000. But best offer accepted. That was like about a week and a half ago. And then over the weekends, another one, an SGC 10 sold for like $39.99. So that one makes more sense. I mean, I just wish I wish I saw the guy that was accepting 2K offers, but anyway,
That's
all right,
you throw in low balls and all of a sudden they accept. You're like, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so here's what's interesting, right? The card, it ends up all over the map, and this is what's also really fascinating just about players' cards. And when you're trying to extrapolate, we talk about multipliers and comping to other comparable things. His base Sapphire edition, which is Pop 110 and a PSA 10, that card's down 41% since the beginning of the season. Now there was a really low sale recently that's kind of throwing that. But even his Topps Chrome Update Autograph Refractor PSA 10 Pop 79, that card's down 39% since the beginning of the season. But then when you go up to the top of the list, you have his 70th anniversary Blue Refractor Bowman Chrome Prospect First. That's Pop 43. That's up 203%. So you get this wide range, and that's I talk a lot about using ratios to look at how cards comp out across different grades and other things. You can kind of identify when things seem to be excessively spiked. And I have a hunch that that's kind of what happened in this case. What's really interesting to me, you look at the season, obviously Ohtani's cards went way up. You look at the season that Acuna is having, it's a fantastic season. And last year, I know Judge broke the home run record, for the AL, but like from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, his cards were up like 150 to 300% across the board, all of them. Like huge price spikes. His Bowman Chrome rookie auto PSA 10 was up 167% from April 1st to September 30th. So it is surprising to me when you talk about Acuna, just basically seeing like pedestrian swings. Basically, the cost of your eBay fees is what you could expect to yield on average from the beginning of the season to basically what is a record-breaking MVP campaign. It's kind of mind-boggling.
If Acuna played for the Yankees, do you think his cards would be up more?
I don't think so. I
do a little bit.
I don't. The Braves have a ton of fans. They're all over the country. Very collectible team.
But the Yankees are the Yankees guy. They have significantly more fans.
I
don't know that it would make that much of a difference, especially with
he had
all
at
the
least
cards
6 more home runs playing in that ballpark.
Probably outfly out to right field. Producer Lance, what are your thoughts? Yankees help or hurt or not make a difference?
I'm not a huge fan of the Yankees, and but I do know that they are all over the place, and I know Braves fans are too, but I see Yankees fans in places where nobody even likes baseball.
In Utah, the great example where you live,
right? And I know collectors dig the long ball, and if he's got more home runs in Yankee Stadium, I mean, he would probably have more there too. Or like if he played there all the time, right? So, I mean, I could see his values going up because of that.
The Yankee logo does travel for sure. It's like the FC Barcelona logo or the Paris Saint-Germain or Manchester United. Like that one, it travels the world.
It's,
I will say,
very prevalent over in the UK for sure.
One of the Acuñas you mentioned, his Topps Chrome Update, like refractor auto. This is going to sound harsh, but that's like probably his worst rookie auto. Like that's basically a garbage card. Like he has a Topps Chrome auto that's on card, and then they has his update with a sticker. That's Nobody should. If you're listening to this podcast, please never buy that update. Please don't buy the update Acuña auto. Please do.
If you own one and you love it, he's sorry.
I was going to say,
right.
I was going to say, there's probably one listener that's listened this long, and he has that card, and he just said that. He just went, "Oh,
none of us can afford the better card."
Okay.
Right. All right. Well,
doesn't sell it for 50%. No, I know what you're saying. I totally know what you're saying. But
that was probably a little bit harsh. But I mean. If that's your card, you love the image. Like it's that cool shot of him. I think he's at second base. He's like holding his helmet. He just doubled. It's a cool shot. I would prefer to just have the refractor without the sticker on it. But that's just me.
So I have some theories on Acuna about why this is happening. The first one is sports cards just are kind of not going as strong. So any type of up is good. So that's my first one. He is older now. He's 25. He's entering that weird age between 25 and 30 where people aren't speculating on them. We see this with Mookie Betts, with Bryce Harper. They're only 30 this year. The last 4 or 5 years where no one really buying their cards, even though they're doing really well. Bryce Harper won an MVP. They're that age group. So maybe that's why, right? He's not the Julio Rodriguez. Julio Rodriguez is that guy right now. Or Ellie De La Cruz. Irrationally, people like him because he's young. He's a rookie. He's hyped up, right? That's another one. And on top of that, my other thing is when he tore his ACL, his cards did not drop. They were basically flat.
No one sold.
Yeah, it's not like they might have dropped maybe 5 to 10%. But when someone has a catastrophic injury that's going to keep them out a year, you expect it to drop 50%, right? Like that what's logically makes sense.
Yeah.
But people were still confident it'd be fine. So it's a lot of factors, but I don't think they're extremely underpriced. He's still one of the most expensive players in sports cards. Like if Mike Trout didn't exist, he's like the highest, or not the highest. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's really high for a proven player. You have like actual proven players. You have Aaron Judge, Mookie Betts, Bryce Harper, all those type of guys. He's probably more expensive than all of them. And so it's one of those things where, is he too expensive? I don't know. I really don't know if that's the case.
What's interesting is I know you do this, Scott. I run polls on Instagram, right? And it's limited sample size. But I know that for a fact over the last couple of years, I've run the same poll like 3 times. And it's like, who's going to have the best career? Who's going to have the best career? Ronald Acuña Jr., Fernando Tatis Jr., or Juan Soto.
Yep.
And 2 years ago, it was at one point it was Soto for sure, and then it was Tatis, and now obviously it would be overwhelmingly Acuña. If I were to run the same, I should run the same poll tonight and just list it out. But it is fascinating how that there's obviously the recency bias of some of that stuff, but he's ebbs and flows. We'll see how the rest of it plays out. Do you guys still think Acuña long term between those 3 guys, or would you pick Soto or even
based off of prices right now of players?
Just who, not card prices, just in general, who's going to have the best long term? Who's going to have the best career?
So
I mean, best career is such a sort of a subjective term. I also want to say congrats to Scotty, who is now the second person, the other one being Leonardo DiCaprio, who's to refer to a 25-year-old as getting older. So,
in sports cards, once you hit 25 in sports cards, man, you might as well just go get your funeral, go get your casket.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Soto will probably have the highest WAR because he's just gonna keep walking. But Acuna is gonna be the flashiest and the most exciting, the most hyped. He's gonna be on the most commercials.
He'll be on the same team his whole career.
Yeah,
versus
hopefully
5 like Soto.
Yes. Yeah.
I will say with Acuna as well, though, and Soto's game, Acuna, he's already a negative defender. We've had this conversation before about that. He's fantastic when he gets a good jump. He just, for whatever reason, gets really bad jumps occasionally, and a lot of balls that should be caught are dropped in front of him. Particularly in front of him, he has a lot of bad reads. And so that's what it is. That's why he rates up negative. But I think once his speed slows down and once his defense gets even worse with age, I think there's a lower floor on Acuna versus Soto. Soto is just going to continue just to be 160 OPS plus, which is probably where he's at right now. This is Acuna's best year at 165. Soto's beaten that once or twice. So I don't know. I'm also a Juan Soto fan, but people say, well, Juan Soto's a DH. It's yeah, but what do you have as value, right? Offensive runs plus base running runs plus defensive runs is value. And if he has more overall value, who cares if he's a DH? Right. If Barry Bonds was a DH in his prime, you could say he's a DH, but he's still Barry Bonds. So I don't know. I think for the next 5 years, Acuna will be the flashiest. He'll have better team success, and that might elevate his cards to a higher level over the long run, just like Willie Mays sells for less for Mickey Mantle, right? But it doesn't mean that he's going to be the better player in 10 years. So
I'm gonna keep hijacking the agenda here, even though at the risk of, and I'm gonna share my screen and maybe
I just pissed Chris off so bad. He keeps raising his finger actual.
Sorry, Chris. Sorry,
I'm
Chris.
reaching for some alcohol to calm me down. That's not gonna do it though.
Go ahead, Chris.
I was gonna say, if we look at body types, Soto is way more likely to break down long term than Acuna is. Acuna is in significantly better shape.
Except he
And he's
doesn't
also-
play as hard as Acuna.
Yeah.
Right.
Less
So yeah,
risk
for
management.
sure. For
Like
sure.
David Ortiz did it.
Right. But I mean, Soto could also turn into Chris Davis. Who knows?
Oof.
Acuna could also move to left field, just like Soto is, if the defense gets like significantly bad. But he has a better OPP this year than Soto. Like the fact that he slashed his strikeout rate like in half, I feel like is one of the most impressive things about his season.
Yeah.
Like he just doesn't strike out anymore. He's drawing walks.
His
Go on.
Acuna's best season is like 1 point higher in OBP than Soto's like worst season this year, arguably. So like
Okay.
it's like, oh well. Do you see what I'm getting at? Like he's having a bad year, but it's still a good year.
Oh no, yeah. Soto is by far the most hobby neglected player in the league right now. Like everyone just I can't say it without swearing. Everyone is talking poorly about him. They go through some editing. But like his numbers are good. His team is garbage, and it's like was the most disappointing team maybe in like the history of baseball, except possibly the Mets. But his numbers are good. He's going to end up with like 34, 105 with like I don't know where his OPS is right now, but his OBP is over 400. Like his numbers are good.
Yeah, he's
I know a
working
certain
his way back
somebody-
into a top 5 MVP finish.
I know a certain somebody on Instagram who may already be splicing these sound bites into a graphic reel about how bad Soto is, and he can't hit, and his average is terrible, and
He's Edgar Martinez.
But I want to see if Lance can pull this card up that I am sharing my screen of, and I don't know if it'll get bigger.
Yeah,
Let me see if I
that's
can
great.
punch it in. Okay. So I want each of your like 15 to 20 second reactions of this card. And this card sold back in July for $15K. It's a Topps Now card. Obviously, fantastic pairing this season. It doesn't get much better. So just like your reactions to this card, do you like it? Do you not like it? And would you, assuming you had the funds, would you have paid $15K for this at the hype of it in the summer?
And for those that can't see the card,
oh, sorry, this is a 2018 Topps Now Ohtani and Acuna dual auto, red, numbered to 10, 6 of 10.
Dual rookie auto too.
Dual rookie auto and a PSA 9. So, really, cool.
It has the rookie card like shield on it too, which I noticed.
It does.
That makes
I
a
love
difference.
Most dual autos, they don't do that.
Imagine
That's
if
true, but it has to
Ichiro,
be because both of them are rookies.
imagine if Ichiro and Pujols had a dual rookie auto from their rookie year. Like, it's a cool card. For whatever reason, though, they don't sell as well as like the high-end individual autographs. I don't know if that's like doesn't make sense or not.
I think it's because of the Top Now thing.
Topps
right?
Now, it's not pack pulled.
Yeah.
It's you just go buy it online one day from Topps directly.
That's really the essence of my question too. Is does the Topps Now, like, would you go, damn, I'd love to have this card in my PC, or would you,
I would love this card. I almost bought one of these for $5,000 and I didn't. And then they've gone up a ton. So I would buy this card and I would love that card personally. I think it's an awesome card. Jeff Wilson, one of your acquaintances, Tyler, we could say, he got one of those in a trade in one of his videos. And I think that was a fantastic move.
He did.
imagine if Shohei went to the Braves. How would this card
cool? For the next 10 years, Shohei and Acuna. And Shohei is Shohei.
Pray for my wife. I like that card. I would not spend $15,000 on it.
$15,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah, it's just because it's a Topps Now. Like, I don't know. My feeling of a card is it has to come out of a pack, or at least be a redemption that's in a pack, and that isn't. It's hard to say that like 2-inch by 3-inch piece of cardboard that I could purchase online is different than the 2-inch by 3-inch piece of cardboard that comes out of a pack. But I feel like it is. It is to me at least. That's really cool. I would love to look at it, but I would not buy it.
Jeff.
I love the card, and I would love to have it in my PC. I have the same skepticism of it that Chris does. All right, I don't know. I think that Topps Now that might be a record-breaking sale for a Topps Now card if it sold for $15K.
It might be.
I'll look at Card Ladder real quick. I'll let you know.
Yeah, it probably has to be.
They don't have any other rookie autos, right? They don't have a pack pulled version of some sort of rookie combo.
No.
Next year, I can imagine some sets putting the two MVPs together and getting some more dual autos of those two guys, which would be an awesome pull, even though it wouldn't be a rookie. And so something like that, I would be more apt to go after. And 15,000, that's a lot of money. Like thinking about what individual cards you could get of either of those players for that price, I would probably go that route.
There was a Victor Wembanyama 49 of 49, 1 of 1 with alien inscription that sold for $50K.
I don't see that on Card Ladder. Was that like not a real sale?
Yeah, it's real.
I see an Aaron Judge
alien
card that sold for 40,000. I see a bunch of soccer cards.
I do see this. Actually, you're right. It was relisted. Yeah. So it's in the it was relisted. You're right.
The 2016.
I clicked on it. It was relisted, and then there was a golden sale of a Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen that sold for $37K.
But if we look at just pure baseball,
I was thinking baseball, but
baseball, that's the
Judge, which seems like a fishy sale too, personally. But the 2016 Topps Now World Series Game 7 Gold Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo dual auto 1 of 1 sold for $19,200 on auction.
Wonder what the value of that is right now.
$4,000.
I mean, it depends. It's worth something to someone. I don't like
something to someone.
Like if the Braves were to win the World Series and there was a 1 of 1 like Acuna, Matt Olson, or an Acuna Fried or Acuna anybody like on Topps Now, that would be really great. But I would pass out if someone spent $19,000 on it. That just seems insane. Unless there's like a piece of the base.
No
relics or anything.
No relic.
Just them celebrating together.
I mean, I guess the Cubs would probably have a little extra value given the slight weight between championships. I could see in the moment some wealthy Chicago Cubs fan just losing his mind and needing the card.
And that was in 2020. So that was at the peak of the peak.
Ooh. Yeah.
And I will say it is interesting because neither of those players will make the Hall of Fame. And so it's just interesting to see how expensive that card is. But so yes, Ty, great question. I personally would not pay that price for it. I would have paid the $5K. Actually, I didn't pay the $5K. So maybe that shows that I didn't think it was worth that price either. So.
True.
We're at 1 hour. So I want to end this with one question to all of you. I have a would you rather. And this would you rather is I know a few of you collect one of these players.
Oh.
Would you rather invest $100,000? Like this is like the guy. This is where you're putting all your money in for the long term of Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
I knew it was going to be him.
Or Yordan Alvarez.
I almost asked you before we ran this if that was I don't know. We're on the same wavelength.
Because I know who I would take. But I want to hear your thoughts between those two. I can pull up their stats. I'll pull up Yordan and do a comparison of the players up until this point. Because they're actually Yordan and Vlad are maybe the same age. Vlad maybe is a year or two younger. No, not that much.
Yeah,
Vlad's younger.
Also, speaking of 25 being older, Yordan's only 26. People treat him like he's ancient. So that proves my point. Just saying.
Yeah. He only looks ancient when he's running.
Yeah, that's fair. His
body breaks down like he's ancient.
Yordan right now leads Vlad in all rate stats. Holy cow. He crushes. Guess what the OPS plus difference is? I'll just tell you. Vlad has a 131 OPS plus. Yordan has a 166.
Yeah.
And Vlad's even lower this year, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's just career. If we look at this year, he's not having his best year. War-wise, you would say, well, at the same time, Yordan's just a DH, so Vlad's going to beat him on defensive stuff, metrics, blah, blah, blah. Vlad's played almost 200 more games and has 3 less WAR at 15.1 versus 18. Almost 2 seasons, season and a half. Home run-wise, 128 to 126, RBI 400 to 376. Vlad is crushing him in stolen bases at 18 versus 2 for their careers. But Yordan has significantly better rate stats. 297, 391, 590 for a 980 career OPS versus Vlad's 280, 355, 491 for an 845 OPS. 140 points lower and an OPS plus of 131 versus 166. Okay. Set the stage.
So if I would take Vlad if I could use some of that money to perhaps invest in a way that we can get the Blue Jays to play in Buffalo again.
Yes, I like it. I like it.
What is the stat like? What does WPA stand for? That like
Win probability added.
okay, thank you. Yordan Alvarez also has like the single biggest hit in the history of that stat.
Yes,
which
in the World
I think
Series.
should be mentioned.
Yordan is clutch. Not saying Vlad isn't. I just know Yordan is.
Yordan has just had more chances to be clutch, and he has performed. I mean, the home run off Robbie Ray is again the biggest WPA hit in history, and then the Alvarado home run is just nuts in the World Series. Like, how does he hit that ball 450 feet? But the one thing, all right, forgetting rate stats, forgetting cumulative stats, the one thing Guerrero has is an ability to be on the field.
You just said forget rate stats and accumulative stats. That you just said forget all stats.
Yes.
Just because he plays a below average first base.
I'm trying to find the one thing Guerrero wins
on the
at.
field.
Guerrero wins at actually being able to play. I'm not saying I'm choosing Guerrero. I'm just trying to find something Guerrero wins at in this competition.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So Guerrero's been able to stay healthy and Yordan hasn't. And that's scary for people in their 20s, for Yordan to have been on the IL as much as he has and only be 26 years old. Like, that's scary. The potential is clearly there. Like, if we could like wave a magic wand and say they're both going to be healthy for the next decade, you would choose Yordan 100% without questioning it. But I don't know. He hasn't been able to do it yet, and it's always dangerous to assume players can do things they haven't done yet. So I don't know if he's going to be able to play a full season.
But does that outweigh the fact outside of playing in Buffalo and Dunedin, Vlad hasn't been Vlad?
I don't know. That's a really tough. That's a tough comparison.
Because he's never proven it either outside of that half season.
No. He's had one amazing season, and he's been fairly league average for a first baseman, and in the rest of his career.
And
he has
Vlad,
a big name.
What he has going for him, his pedigree, his youth, and his ability to play versus Alvarez. But everything else leans in Yordan's favor.
For sure.
That's tough.
Yeah, it is. It's hard. I mean, Guerrero's still hitting the ball hard.
That's a lot of money to put in anybody, much less one of these guys.
What are you smiling at, Ty?
Well, I say if we're on the litmus test of staying on the field, forget both those guys. Omar Vizquel played almost 3,000 games, 24 seasons. Lock your money up. And no, I'm kidding. I think what's really interesting is I've done this before. I think I put this in a video. Go compare Vladdy Jr.'s cards and his prices to his dad's, and look at those comparisons. And Vlad Guerrero Sr. like significantly dominates all the stats. Played a long time. 450 home runs or something. Fewer cards, fraction of the price. It's amazing. It's. I mean, I know we're talking a lot about modern cards, Acuna, all these guys, but like, the total theoretical money in circulation, obviously we don't ever see all cards just hit the market and sell at one time. But, if you theorize how much money is out there for junior versus senior, that's a really fascinating conversation, which isn't the question you asked. But I would go Yordan if I had to choose between the two, just because I believe he's such a terrifying hitter that if he can stay healthy, if I had to take the gamble, put all the money in a player, I think Yordan has the potential to deliver on that value long term and to carve out a niche as one of the kind of the David Ortiz of this era or whatever. Whereas I don't see that upside with Vladdy. I like Vladdy a lot. I think he's charismatic and fun to watch, and I'm rooting for him. But I wouldn't have the same level of confidence that he can kind of rise to the upper echelon and stay there.
One thing I want to say, Blue Jays fans listening, those that watch my YouTube channel that always get mad at me for saying negative things about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Part of my response was just to make Chris mad because he likes him a lot. That's like part of my response. Like, I don't hate Vlad. I don't hate Vlad at all. I think he's a great ball player, and I think his ceiling is ridiculously high. And I think once he learns to hit the ball not at a lower launch angle, like, there's so much potential for him. So I'm not saying that it's a slam dunk Yordan Vlad sucks. I want to make sure I get that out of the way. I think he's great. But based off of what I've seen, Yordan's offensive profile is just insane. It's just insane. But I just know I do like Vlad, and it is a lot closer, like, who I would pick than I made it sound like, just to make Chris mad. So
you guys, you guys both have card ladder up. The Bowman Chrome Autos, like, who's the prices right now as of today? Like, who's outselling who? I'd be curious.
I bet Vlad is. I'll check.
because it's interesting. Like I feel like Vladdy's market is propped up by name recognition, and he's still obviously pretty young, and people are constantly thinking the big season's coming again. It's coming again. He'll get back to that. And Yordan just keeps doing it, but missing a month every single year, and people just kind of ignore it.
Yeah, every
For the
time
most part.
Yordan gets any sort of momentum going, then he's out of the lineup.
Yeah.
So he's never been able to put together these 45, 50 home run seasons, which he could easily do if he plays 145 games.
Yeah.
Also, I want to point out, I don't know if we're a card ladder pod or a market movers pod, because we have one of
There's
the
only one answer.
years of market movers here. So I think we should be a market movers pod.
I almost dropped out. Just just bounce right out.
I know Chris said both of you have card ladder. I'm like, I don't think
I
Ty
did say
does.
that. I'm sorry. Both of you have market movers, which is
This
the
is
better
just-
app.
It just
What other-
hashtag triggered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got their two autos pulled up. So PSA 10, just their base Bowman first auto is only pop 80 on Vladdy, pop 222 on Yordan. So big difference there. Last sale for Yordan was just $647. That was on September 12. The Vladdy hasn't sold since April. That was at 2.2K.
Whoa.
All right. So yeah,
huge
with the
difference on
prices-
that particular card.
Can you do just any sold listing for Bowman Chrome autograph of either of them? I'll just do that real quick. Bowman.
Yeah, I can do that too. But
Yeah, so for $100,000, you'd get a lot more bang for your buck with Yordan Alvarez.
Yeah, so I think that
Get a
makes
lot
it
more
that makes it an
respect.
easy choice to go Yordan.
yeah.
Okay, so the last Bowman Chrome autograph was for Vlad was a purple out of 250, sold for $1,500. So now let's do Yordan purple and see if we can get one within a decent time frame. August 13th, so just a few weeks prior for 1,082. So it looks like Vlad is selling for about 30%, 40% more.
Yeah, at those rates, you got to go Yordan for sure. Plus, he's got that. If we can get a picture of it for the YouTube video, he's got that Smolder SSP,
That's his
which
favorite
just
card.
absolutely
That is a
such
cool
an
card.
amazing card.
Is Vladdy? I was trying to look this up. So it looks like Sport Track's website is down. Is his contract up this year?
Next year, I believe.
Next year. It
'Cause
looks like
isn't
when
it-
I was trying to Google it, it looked like he was on a 1-year deal right now. But it
Well, yeah,
Well, that's
arbitration.
'cause of arbitration.
He's going through.
Arbitration is considered, I believe, like a 1-year deal every year until they hit the end of their arbitration.
I see. Okay.
But I think they have, is it 6 years of team control? So we have 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. So it's either after, I believe it's after next year or the following year at the latest.
Okay.
Yeah, because they definitely
looks
they
like
pushed
it's
him back.
2020. Yeah, 2026 is free agency.
Yeah, they did. They probably manipulated his service time a bit. There's probably 2 more full seasons.
Yeah, in 2019, Tatis made the opening day roster. They made Guerrero wait 2 or 3
Okay,
years.
so here's a question. Vlad, let's say he continues the way he's playing now, right? All the potential in the world, literally all the potential in the world, but he hasn't done it since 2021. Do you give him $300 million if you're the Blue Jays?
No.
No.
If you're not giving him $300 million, then he's, you know what I'm saying? Like we're saying, he's not the superstar.
Then he's going to the Mets or the Padres or the Dodgers or the Phillies.
Yeah.
Or the
If
Giants.
he's a 25 home run, 90 RBI guy, then yeah, you just let him walk because you can find that as a first baseman on the free agent real easy. I would think that's not special at
Yeah,
all.
he's got a lot to prove next year.
I think so I'm going to completely backtrack, right? I think Vlad will figure it out. I think he will have another Vlad season, at least one soon.
In 2025 during the contract
Yeah,
year.
during his contract year. But my point is, I don't think he is who he is this year or the last year. But at the same time, let's say he does have a higher ceiling. Will he ever get to 2021 again? Because let's look at I want to look at one thing. And then I know this is going long, but I want to look at one thing. I pulled up Vlad Sr. 1 second. Look at Vladimir Guerrero Jr. If we go to splits for his career and we do home road simply to get an idea of the Rogers Center out of there, he has give me 1 second. That doesn't fit my narrative. Let me get some new stats here. Let's go to
Yeah, he didn't have a home run at home this year until it was almost July.
He's been a lot better at home lately, but he has a 721 OPS at home this year versus a 851 on the road. And he has a 240 batting average versus 292 on the road. But my point is about this, there's certain ballparks. If you go like just that, you see the ball well off the batter's eye, put him in Yankee Stadium. I know he won't play there. Let's say Fenway. He does great in Fenway. If that's his home ballpark, his numbers, he has an 850 on the road. That is what it is. Let's say he has a 900 OPS at home. Now you're looking at like a low 900 OPS type guy. It's just because of the ballpark, I think. That's what's killed his collectability. But
yeah, absolutely. And like we talked about him last year, but Devers, Jeff and I have been talking about this. We found some article about it. Like he is in statistically the worst ballpark for him.
Because he hits line drives? Is that why?
He hits, he's a lefty pull hitter in Fenway Park.
Oh, yeah.
And the average something was a cost him between like 7 and 13 home runs a year playing in that ballpark.
I can look right now. It's on Baseball Reference. It's really fun to look at.
Yeah, you put him in Yankee Stadium, and I almost think he and Judge should switch teams. But
so, fun fact about the 2018 Mookie Betts season, because I
here we go.
all of his stats. It's actually in Baseball Savant. I don't know what I'm talking about. Baseball Reference for those following at home, but Mookie had like 32 home runs that year. His expected home runs was like 50. He had so many line drives off the green monster that were turned into singles and doubles that should have been home runs.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that ballpark.
Say that again. Whoever said that.
I was to say we got a little nail biter related to this going on right now too. Orioles at the Astros up 8-7 in the 9th, and Yordan is 0 for 3. So he stinks.
He sucks.
Not clutch.
Oh, here's a fun fact. If we look at all the ballparks where Vlad's played, can I show this? I'm going to share my screen really quick. Okay, we're going to Baseball Savant. Okay, we're going to Baseball Savant. We're going to type in Vladimir Guerrero Jr. We're going to scroll down to his expected home runs, which is right here. The lowest ballpark for expected home runs is Rogers Center. Oh, that's not true. We do have a few right here, but 108. If he was playing in somewhere like Atlanta, he'd have 130. If he was in Milwaukee, 140. In Cincinnati, 156. So it just shows.
Come to Milwaukee, Vlad.
It just shows, though, like expected versus realized home runs. It's pretty crazy. We could even go up here and look at his actual home run versus expected home run. It's not fitting my narrative, so let's ignore that. Let's go back to ballpark. But you get what I'm saying. But it's not just home runs. It's batting average. It's everything. It's everything.
Yeah, he's hitting the ball hard. Like if you look at his Baseball Savant, like he's in the really high percentiles for like contact, barrel rate, exit velocities. It's just not getting in the air.
All right, we're at 1 minute, hour, and 20 minutes. Thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate it. We will have more episodes out next Tuesday. If there's any player comparisons you want us to debate, let us know. If there's anything you want us to talk about, let us know. We appreciate you. This is the best. See ya. Bye.